Hello everybody, my name is Ilan Asbel. I am currently the CEO and one of the co-founders of Autochartist. I'm absolutely delighted to be here with you today. This is our first ever webinar we're hosting evening of European evening time. And actually, interestingly enough, we've got quite a decent attendance for our first webinar of this time zone. As many of you may know, our primary staff is located out of Johannesburg in South Africa, and so that's evening time on that side of the world. I'm in Austin, Texas, so it's midday on my side. So I'm actually on my own on this webinar. I have no support staff helping me out. So I will try get to as many of your questions as I can. I hope I managed to get through to all of them. But what I'm going to do is, because I don't have any support staff, I'm going to try and focus on my presentation instead of on the questions window, and then come back to questions later on in the presentation. Sometimes I do happen to glance over to the question section, in which case I can try and answer something, but please don't be disheartened if I skip over yours if it doesn't catch my eye. Also, this presentation will be available, I think it's by tomorrow, on our YouTube channel. That's youtube.com/Autochartist. Or you can drop us an email to support@autochartist.com, and we'll let you know the URL to the latest recording. So with all of that being said, let me get going. So the purpose of today's webinar is not really to teach you how to really trade yet, right? It's not about trading strategies with Autochartist, but it's more an overview of the platform. And it's quite a substantial platform from an analytical perspective. There's a lot to take in. I'll do my best to run through it in about 35 minutes or so and leave questions till the end. But again, we do have a lot of webinars coming up, and this is the first one in the series. With an overview. Later webinars give far more detailed explanations and actual trading strategies around using support and resistance levels. So what is Autochartist? Right, many of you might be new to the markets and wondering, what is this thing all about? So I'm going to tell you something which might be disappointing or might be useful to you. Autochartist is really nothing new in the market. It's simply an automation of an existing market analysis theory called chart patterns. So this theory of chart patterns, or the theory of support and resistance levels, has been around since the 1930s. It was originally called Dow theory or chart pattern theory, and over time has evolved. And in its latest kind of computational, evolution of computational power has allowed us to automate this process of identifying these chart patterns or support and resistance levels in the market. And what this type of analysis tries to do is, rather than to provide a kind of a simple arithmetic analysis of the market like a moving average does, or an RSI or a Bollinger Band, you may be familiar with all of this, the theory of support and resistance really tries to identify psychological levels which signify the market could potentially be overbought or oversold, right? And this can obviously be traded in many different ways, but this is really the underlying premise of what Autochartist does. So there is no doubt that almost every, in fact I would say every book on technical analysis you could pick up at your local bookstore or online has got a chapter on chart patterns and support and resistance levels and overbought and oversold. You'll find these terms all over the place in literature. It is by far the most widely used form of market analysis there is, both at the retail, amateur level, investment level, as well as the professional investment level. Right. Most professionals, in fact, use support and resistance levels in the market to time their entries and exits in and out of financial instruments, whether they are forex or stocks or futures. or commodities. So this is really where Autochartist comes into play. So we are a trade opportunity finder for the novice ones among us, and we are a time-saving tool for the professionals among us who are already using these types of support and resistance levels to help them time the markets. So let me give you some brief understanding of what Autochartist, the kind of opportunities Autochartist provides. So here's an opportunity that just came up a few minutes ago when I actually just launched this webinar. This is an opportunity on CAD Japanese yen, and we can clearly see that Autochartist has identified support level on CAD Japanese yen a number of times, 1, 2, 3 touching points, and it has identified the fact that the price is now turning around and going back down towards that level of 99.49, right? And this is what we call an emerging pattern, emerging or approaching, right? Approaching pattern or emerging pattern. These are patterns that are moving towards a support or resistance line but have not yet broken through it, right? So you can clearly see that Autochartist has identified this support level, or what they call an oversold level in CAD Japanese yen. And that's the first row that I've highlighted. So you can actually identify the fact that this is an emerging or approaching pattern by this gray arrow, right? So a gray arrow up or down means it still has not broken through a support or resistance level. We also have the word approach here if you want to move your eyes all the way to the right hand side of the screen, which I'm super lazy, so I just look down the middle of the screen. So you can see them by kind of their gray and colored arrows. Now, the other type of opportunity that Autochartist identifies is what we call breakout patterns, breakout or completed patterns. Right? And these really come in the form of where the price graph has actually broken through a support or resistance level, and we can provide a forecast or a target level for that price movement. Now, this target level that we provide is not some kind of roll of the dice. It is, in fact, or not even our theory behind it. It is simply an automation of existing chart pattern theory. And to put it simply, the way chart pattern theory works is quite simple. You take the trend prior to the formation of the pattern, you map that onto the breakout. Okay, and so we should have had our target level somewhere down here, but what we do is we actually scale it by the quality of the pattern that we have. So we have pretty much divided, this goes from 0 to 10, we have divided this by 3 and have come up with this target level. Now, we could go into more detail about the quality indicators themselves. It's a little bit out of the scope of this webinar, but certainly there are going to be other webinars which explain the visual quality in more detail. But essentially what we do is we take chart pattern theory and we just scale it a little bit to fit in with how good we think this pattern actually is. Okay, so now these are the two things that we identify: the approaching or emerging patterns and the breakout or complete patterns. Right? Now, furthermore, what we also do is we identify these types of patterns not only as support or resistance levels, but also as chart patterns. So you can see here that this here is a descending triangle on the Hong Kong dollar. Okay. This one over here is what Autochartist identified as an inverse head and shoulders. You'd have to use your imagination to make this an inverse head and shoulders. It's kind of identified that as the head. So I wouldn't say the best example in the world of an inverse head and shoulders. Here's a double top for Euro CZK. We actually, Autochartist provides you the name of the pattern that it has identified. Okay. Now, why am I telling you all of this? I'm telling you all of this because it kind of hints towards the kind of trading styles that Autochartist supports. So many of you, and certainly the vast majority of retail traders, not professional traders, right, guys that don't do this for a living, but retail traders, they believe in the saying called "the trend is your friend," and I'm not going to say whether that's true or not. But certainly, if that's the style of trading that you believe in, where you want to kind of make a lot of money on these big trends, then you should be looking at all the colored patterns, the little colored arrows, and in your filter section, really uncheck these emerging, this right-hand column. And here, Autochartist will give you all the completed patterns or breakout patterns that are available in the market right now. Now, you can see very clearly that, certainly during the US session, there are not that many chart patterns available. Most of the action most certainly happens during the morning of the London session. That means kind of morning, let's say 6 a.m. Through to 5 p.m. London time, with a major spike in movement between around midday in the UK, very early morning US, like 8 a.m., 9 a.m. US time. That's really where the majority of the action happens, and I'll show you where Autochartist gives you that information too. But certainly right now in the market, there are not that many opportunities, but certainly some interesting ones. So this is this example that I've got selected right now is interesting because it brings me into my next kind of topic, which is the age of the candle. So it's a very important right column on the right hand side of the Autochartist screen is this age column. So the stuff at the very top with age 0 means that this is the latest patterns that have been identified. If you look further down, the age increases, right? And now you can see that this opportunity on the NZD Swiss franc was identified 9 candles ago. They happen to be daily candles. So this opportunity was identified more than a trading week ago, 9 trading days ago, so almost 2 weeks ago. And you can see that because there's some little transparent candles at the end. If you can't see that, let me actually highlight that for you. There's some little transparent candles at the end of the price graph, which actually shows what has happened subsequent to our detection of this pattern, right? So when the price was around 0.6764, we gave a projection to move down to 0.6459, and slowly but surely it has been moving in this direction, and it's still included in our active trading opportunity section because we feel that this is still a trading opportunity that might be worth looking at, because certainly these are daily candles and there's still quite a bit of room to move between 0.6622 and 0.6459. Quite a lot of movement to be had there, which you might or might not decide to take advantage of. Right, but this is very important. So keep an eye out for this age column on the right hand side of the screen. That'll tell you how long ago this pattern was actually identified. Now, if you are a more seasoned professional, a more seasoned trader, and you're quite eager to get in and out of the market pretty quickly instead of waiting for these long trends to appear, then you might want to have a look at our emerging or approaching pattern section. And you can do that by simply selecting these emerging pattern section on the right hand side here, and you will notice that I'm very reluctant to click on the Fibonacci patterns. That's because I don't trade Fibonacci patterns myself, and I reckon that if you draw enough lines on any screen, you're bound to hit one of them. It doesn't mean that that the trade actually worked out. So I don't really trade Fibonacci patterns, and so I don't really like to present on something I don't understand. And so I prefer to kind of stick with the stuff that I do actually personally trade. So now back to emerging patterns. So these emerging patterns are really identifiers of swings in the market. Okay, so what does that mean? Swings in the market. Swings in the market means moves moves during consolidation periods, movements between overbought and oversold levels in the market. Now you can see quite clearly this is an opportunity on US dollar, Hong Kong dollar. You can see very clearly that the prices move between kind of 775 and 775 and 775.39 or 40, quite clearly a number of touching points. It's range bound, and now if you have a lot of courage, there is an opportunity to take a short position, down back down to 775 if you believe the price is going to continue consolidating and trading in this range bound market. Okay, now this is for the more gutsy ones of you. Now, while this happened, I'm not sure if you all noticed, but I got little orange exclamation marks on my screen. Now, these little orange exclamation marks means that these are brand new opportunities that have just been identified by Autochartist. So here's an opportunity on Australian dollar, Hong Kong dollar. We think on the 15-minute chart, there's an ascending triangle. We think it's moving back up towards this resistance level over here. US dollar, Japanese yen, we think it's moving down to, that support level over there. So, if you want to be on top of the markets, unfortunately, you're going to have to keep your trading screens open and your Autochartist open with you. I'll mention the mobile apps in a few moments. But these opportunities come through thick and fast. Every 15 minutes to 30 minutes, you'll get new opportunities coming through. Now, let me enable some more things here, and let me choose some interesting examples here. So, now, I don't know if you all recall, but I mentioned, when the action actually happens in the market. So we have this interesting little tool called Volatility Analysis. Now, Volatility Analysis is actually, in my mind, probably the most important tool that we have to offer. Many of you are asking, sitting here, yes, just show me what to trade and when to trade it and which direction to trade it. But let me tell you, being in the market for 15 years, I can tell you that entering the market at the right time is, in fact, half the battle. In fact, it's 1/3 of the battle. The other third is exiting, and the last third is how much money to place on your trade, right? Which is what we call money management. But no trading strategy is complete without an appropriate stop loss or an exit strategy. Now, many of you might have attended many educational webinars and seminars, and they're all telling you, set a stop loss, don't take risk, don't get blown out of the market. And this is all good and well, and you might have walked away from these webinars and seminars and whatever it happens to be, just choosing some kind of stop loss level, an arbitrary stop loss level. The one I hear all the time, and the example I give all the time is someone chooses a 20 pip stop loss on euro dollar. Now let's have a look at actually what a 20 pip stop loss in euro dollar will give you. Now, what the graph you see in front of you right now is the movement of euro dollar for every hour of the day in pips, right? So from 0-100 hours to 2300 hours, how much price movement you can expect to see on euro dollar within the hour. Right? So you can see clearly that during the late night in London, which is what my Autochartist is set to, late night in London, euro dollar trades 15 to 20 pips an hour. But come the open of London, 7 a.m. London time, all the way through to 5 p.m. London time, you are seeing an average of around 35 to 40 pips an hour, north of 50 pips an hour when the US market opens, kind of for very, very high volatility market hours. So what happens to you when you trade euro dollar during the London session or European session with a 20 pip stop loss? I'll tell you exactly what's going to happen. You're going to set your stop loss, you're going to get knocked out of the market, and you're going to go complain to your broker and tell them that they're chasing your stops, which is Absolutely complete nonsense. No broker is worried about chasing your stops. They've got thousands and tens of thousands and sometimes hundreds of thousands of trades going in multiple directions at the same time. No one is interested in trading your stops. It is your own fault for setting a stop loss which is inappropriate to current market volatility. If you want to get into the market and make money because you made the right decision, not because you got knocked out by the noise or you happened to call it right by absolute fluke, right? If you want to trade properly, set yourself a stop loss that is appropriate to the volatility you're going to expect during that time of day. So if you're trading 1 p.m. London time, right, which is the most volatile time of day, that's when New York opens, okay? It's about 8 a.m. New York time, okay? You cannot set a 20 pip stop loss. You should be setting a 50 pip, 60 pip stop loss, and even then you're only going to be holding your position for an hour, okay? If you plan to hold your position for 2 or 3 hours, man, you better start setting your stop loss north of 70, 80 pips away from where you actually opened up your position. Otherwise, you might get knocked out by noise. That's one thing you don't want to do. I hear it again and again and again and again. Traders coming and saying, Ilan, I placed the most amazing trade on euro, dollar, Swiss franc, whatever it happens to be, and I got knocked out, and as I got knocked out, the market turned around and moved in the direction that I was actually trading in. And that is, I hear that story, and all I say is, if you wanna, if that's happening to you, it's no fault of the market and no fault of the broker. It's your own fault for not setting an appropriate stop loss position, right? Okay, so let me stop ranting and raving at you. Maybe you all are really good traders and are setting market appropriate levels. Let me show you another little tool within this volatility analysis section that actually helps you do this more accurately. So the previous graph I showed you really the breakdown for every hour of the day. But what if you're planning to trade euro dollar right now? It's after 6 p.m. London time, and you want to place a trade. Where can you expect the price to be within the next hour or 4 hours? So this graph here was what we call the trumpet at the office for obvious reasons. It looks like a trumpet. So let's say I had to place a trade on euro dollar right now, and I want to hold my position for around 4 hours. Then I would not set my stop loss or take profit anywhere within 112.29, 113.80. Right? If I place it any closer to my trade, the current price than that, then I should expect my price to close out within the next hour or two. Right? If I want to hold it for more than 4 hours, I should set it outside of that level. Okay, so this gives you a more kind of accurate assessment, not only by hour of the day, but actually based on the the price, the current price in the market. And this graph changes every 15 minutes, and what you'll actually get is, as you move into the more volatile times of day, you will see these bars getting wider and wider, and certainly flattening out. We see right now it's kind of out of peak volatility time, so you see very, very low volatility during the 15-minute and 30-minute time periods, and you'll see this growing during the very volatile times of day, certainly during the UK session. Okay, I must be giving the most amazing presentation in the world, and I know this because not because I like the sound of my own voice, but actually because I don't see any questions coming through, which means that everyone understands me absolutely perfectly, and now all of you are going to be great traders. So I'm kidding, guys. Send through questions, please. I mean, I'm going to answer them at the end, but send through questions if there's something you don't understand. Okay. So Rob has just asked a question: are the times GMT? My time is set to Europe, London. On the top right-hand side of Autochartist, you can set your time zone that you want to see your stats in. Okay. All right, so while all of you are laughing at my strong South African accent and all the stuff I'm telling you, I'm going to move along. Now, just a moment ago, I spoke to you about the trading opportunities, and now many of you, I think the first thing in your minds is asking, how well does Autochartist do? And the first thing I'm going to tell you back is I'm going to be a real diplomat, and I'm going to say to you that Autochartist is not a trading system. It is an analysis. It is an identification of support and resistance. But of course, we would be lying to ourselves if we didn't give you a hint at what kind of stuff works and what kind of stuff doesn't work. So let me talk about that for just a moment. But before I do that, let me speak to Popa. I hope, Popa, I've pronounced your name correctly, or Popa or Popa from Bucharest. He has asked us, he's from Romania. Does this is this appropriate for him in Romania? Well, it all depends. If you're trading Forex, then certainly it is appropriate for you. It's appropriate for you oh, he's talking about the different times. Yes, of course. So if you're trading in Romania, which is primarily kind of the European time zone, then and most of you are attending from Europe, I would say that you're trading the best time for Forex. London is the capital of Forex trading. You're getting the most volatility, as long as you're setting your stop losses and take profits correctly. But most certainly this is applicable to anybody in Europe, but actually anywhere in the world if you're trading FX. If you're trading futures or stocks, then obviously you need to look at other sections of the volatility analysis. Let's say you're trading the London Stock Exchange, you can actually look at those statistics for shares on the London Stock Exchange. Here's one on Anglo American, for example. Okay, so let me move on onto our performance statistics. And if I don't give you this little disclaimer, my lawyers are going to have an absolute nightmare with me, and they're going to have little heart attacks and all go to hospital this evening. Past performance is not indicative of future performance. These statistics do not tell you how much money you're going to make, right? The statistics we give you at Autochartist are purely stats about how often we've hit our target level. Okay, so if you're Forex traders, let me show you some stats on our chart patterns. Okay, so over the last 6 months or so, it's a rolling 6-month window. We rerun these stats every week or 2 weeks, I think it is. Overall, a 67% hit rate of our target level, but that's just not important. Let me show you what is important. What is important is to show you the gems that lie inside all the noise, right? So you can see we provide you complete transparency with regards to which patterns and which instruments have done really well, okay, over the last 6 months. Okay, so the green ones have had an more than 70% hit rate. That means they've hit their target region over 70% of the time. Okay, you can see double bottoms over the last 6 months. 100% hit rate. 13 out of 13 times we've hit our target region. Okay, head and shoulders, inverse head and shoulders are always absolute star performers for us, hitting a target region, close to 80% of the time. The interesting bit that I want to show you, and many of you don't have this issue because you're trading the European hours, is I wanted to show you how chart patterns do really well during the European hours. So these statistics, this is the only part of Autochartist that doesn't adjust itself due to according to the time zone you've selected. These stats are GMT -4, they're in New York time. So these stats, you can see how well we do during the European hours, and then during the US hours we don't do as well. The reason for that is very simple. There's less movement in the market, and therefore there's less liquidity. And the theory of chart patterns, if you think about what it is, it's all based on psychology. You need participants in the market in order to evaluate the psychology that's playing out in the market. If there's less participants, there's less psychology, and so our forecasts become less valuable. But certainly during the European hours, it is an extremely valuable tool. Now that was for chart patterns. If you want to look at, the key levels, which are just the support and resistance levels in the market, the stats look a lot better. We're over 80% on most of the patterns that we provide. And in fact, I'll give you a little hint and a tip. If you are trading chart patterns and not only support and resistance levels, then certainly the way to look at these opportunities, and the way I look at them, is if I click on the edit screen. This is a bit beyond the scope of this presentation, but what I do is I like to trade what I call horizontal patterns. Horizontal patterns are the patterns that that have a horizontal level in them, and those I find are normally the top performers. I'm just going to set this back to select all for now. Okay, so with that being said, we have the trading opportunities, we have the volatility analysis, and we have the performance stats. And now really where it all comes together, and that is our little section on the left-hand side here called our favorites. And I've left this one till kind of last in this conversation because this is where it all comes together, right? This screen here should actually be your trading Bible. It should be the starting point of almost every trade that you make, or at least somewhere in your trading process you should be looking at the screen. So instead of looking at the trading opportunity section and then combining it with the performance statistics, we provide you the section called Our Favorites, which really combines both of those together. So it takes the trading opportunities, merges them with the performance stats, and provides you not the ability to select horizontal support resistance or emerging or complete or any of that mumbo jumbo, but it just tells you, based on past probability, which are the patterns that are most likely to hit their target region. Okay, so again, past performance might not be indicative performance. These statistics are drawn from a moving 6-month window. So this gives you an idea of what has high probability of hitting its target region based on the last 6 months of performance. So, for example, this opportunity here, GBP Swiss franc, we provide a target of 145.03. Okay, and we believe there's a 71% chance of hitting that target region. Okay, and so you can see all these opportunities on many different markets. If you're a futures trader, have a look at them on the futures market. If you're trading US equities, have a look at them on US equities. Okay, so this is where it all comes together. Now this is where it's a good time for me to mention the Autochartist mobile application, right? Go to the Google Play Store or the iTunes Store and search for Autochartist, and you'll be able to download an app. You can register on that app, and what it'll do, it will alert you when there's a new Our Favorite opportunity, right? It won't alert you for every single trading opportunity, because then you'll be inundated with little beeps and alerts on your phone. What it does is it just alerts you to the Our Favorites opportunities based on the minimum criteria you've defined. And so instead of having to have your Autochartist screen open the entire day, you can just have your mobile application open, and when you see an opportunity, you can get this information directly from the mobile app, including the volatility analysis, right? So when there's an opportunity, we also provide you with the associated volatility analysis, so you can trade directly from your broker's mobile trading platform, or whatever it is, or walk up to your computer, open up your trading platform, and trade right there and then with that. Okay, so that's where it all comes together. So I invite you to please go to the iTunes or the Google Play Store, search for Autochartist. Hope you find that that application useful. Well, I certainly do. It stopped me from having my web page open the entire day. Now, one of the questions that came up from Ondra, I think it was, does the price range forecast reflect news like non-farm payroll? Now, Ondra, The volatility, it's a great question. The volatility analysis does not take into account news events. We have a different tool called the event impact analysis, which takes into account news events. But unfortunately, this event impact analysis is only provided through a limited number of brokers. If your broker does not provide it, please ask them to contact us to let them provide it for you. But that is the product that provides the volatility around news events. It's a bit out of the scope of this presentation, so I'm not really going to go into that because trading news is just a whole nother animal onto itself. So I'm just going to skip over that. But to answer your question, it does not take into the volatility analysis does not take into account the major news events. Okay. So the last thing that I want to show you with this overview is this messaging and alert section. So the messaging and alert section really provides you 3 types of alerts that you can get in your inbox. The first type of alert, which I subscribe to, is I subscribe to a Forex report before the open of the European session in English. And this is what the Forex report looks like. It gives me a market summary of some upcoming economic news events that are coming up for the day, for the next 8 hours. A notifications window. In this one, we happen to be, promoting the Autochartist mobile application. But sometimes your broker has certain notifications and promotions that they want to run. You might want to keep an eye on that. Some market movers, and then the interesting bit, which is the market reports, which is the content where we actually provide you an outlook on the market for the next kind of 8 to 48 hours, slightly longer term stuff in case you open your email a little bit late, so it's still relevant for you, but a bit of a write-up and a summary of the views. Certainly, I don't recommend trading directly off this report, but it does give you an initial kind of overview in the morning when you wake up before you start getting ready for your trading. Gives you an overview of what we think is happening on a technical level in the market. The second type of opportunity we provide, or the messaging that we provide, is high impact economic news. So we can send an email in the morning telling you what high impact events or news events are coming up for that day during your trading session that you should be aware of. And the last type of opportunity that we provide is the most awesome thing ever in the world. I trade this all the time. This is what we call correlating signals. Correlating signals, this one's a little bit old that I've got here, but correlating signals are basically alerts in your inbox where chart patterns and horizontal support and resistance lines say the same thing. Okay, so when they give you a corresponding or directionality, we'll send you an alert by email. They happen few and far between. They're like once every 2 or 3 days. Certainly worth subscribing to. You will find them very, very useful. Certainly I do. I think they're awesome. Also because I was one of the guys that initially thought of the concept and implemented it, but the reason I implemented it because I found them useful for trading, and so I told the guys to bring it as a feature into the Autochartist platform. Okay, so I invite you all to subscribe to these all types of email alerts, certainly the correlating signals and the daily market snapshot. I'm hoping you'll find very useful. So with that, that's pretty much all I have to say about Autochartist during this presentation. Now, I see there's some questions that I'd like to handle. I see one here from, I don't know if it's Jean or Jean. Jean is saying why he gets trading opportunities late. That is very concerning, actually. it might be a technical issue that we're experiencing. If I could ask you to take a screenshot next time you get a late opportunity, showing the opportunity a screenshot as well as the time on your computer, that would really help us to pin down that problem, figure out where it is. It could be something internal on our side. If I could, it's difficult for me to comment on that. If you could just send us an email with a screenshot to support@autochartist.com, that would really help us pin that down. But you should not be getting your opportunities more than a few minutes after the breakout actually happens or we've identified them. I'm sorry, Gene, that I can't answer your question right now. But if it's a bug, then please send us through a yeah, Gene, please send us a screenshot of that. Yeah, I know you're saying many times you receive it when it's finished. Please send us a screenshot so we can have a look at it. You may have uncovered some kind of delay or lag on our side. Please send us a screenshot, support@autochartist.com. We'll have a look at it as a matter of urgency, please. I'm going to move on from that. So Martina is asking us why she doesn't see the messaging and alert section. Martina, this is actually the fault of your broker. They have decided that they do not want us to message you, and so and I completely understand that we have some brokers that that want to keep the correspondence with their customers private, and we completely respect that. What most brokers will allow you to do is set up the messaging on your behalf. Instead of actually getting us to send it to you, they will actually send you the messaging and alerts. If you could pop us an email to support@autochartist.com. Let us know the name of your broker, which I can't mention broker names here because this is a session which is not affiliated with any broker specifically. So Martina, please send us an email to support@autochartist.com. Give us your broker name, and we'll let you know how you can get hold of these email alerts for that broker. Okay, David is asking us about pricing and free trials. David, Autochartist is free. There is no price. We do not sell it to retail customers. It's a free-to-use service. You can go onto our website. You can register. You get it from us for about 14 days. After which you can get it from your broker for free for the rest of eternity while you have a live account open with them and you're trading. There is no price for Autochartist for the end user. Joe is asking. Joe is asking when this webinar will be posted. We'll post it, I think, when the guys come into the office tomorrow in Johannesburg. They will probably edit it a little bit to leave out all the waffle I gave you guys in the beginning, and then they will post it. Normally it comes up 1 day or 2 days after the presentation is done, and because you registered for this webinar, you will get an email notifying you of the location of the presentation. It's normally on our YouTube channel. John, I'm sorry to hear about your very poor email speeds in South Africa. I feel your pain. Even when you have emails, then you don't have electricity. I'm really sorry. I wish you good luck with that. I'm sorry about that. Martina, you don't get an alarm on your trading opportunities. There should be a section on your trading opportunities that says alarm sound on or off. If it's set to on, you should be getting alarms. If that does not work for you, please, again, that might be a bug. You guys are very diligent, finding a lot of bugs for us on our system. Please drop us an email, support@autochartist.com, if that doesn't work for you in terms of switching your alarm on. Okay. So I'm trying to read some email here. Steve is asking, my trading platform has a link to your portal, but it does not have the same look. Okay, Steve, Wow, it's really difficult for me to pin down the issue here because I don't know who your broker is and I can't mention broker names. Please go ahead and register an account with Autochartist on the Autochartist site or www.autochartist.com. Please send us a support email and let us know which broker you're with and maybe a screenshot of what you're actually seeing. We'd like to have a look at that and then we can guide you from there. Please, Poppa, yes, you are asking, you don't have to buy it. Register directly on our site, www.autochartist.com. You'll get Autochartist for free, but you will be asked to select the broker with which you have a live account in order to continue to use it after 14 days or 21 days. But even then, once you have a live account, you continue to get it for free from that broker. Everybody, 45 minutes into this webinar, I'm going to say goodbye. I hope I've answered your questions. If I haven't, please send an email ticket to support@autochartist.com. I certainly do appreciate your time you took out of your day to come and listen to me. I am absolutely blown away by the attendance on the first webinar during this session. And certainly, Papa is asking for my email address. More than happy to give my email address. I'm typing it to you all right now. Please keep in mind that I am not directly involved with doing all the support queries, and you might get a slow turnaround from me if you email me directly. You might want to rather email support@autochartist.com, where you will get a response probably within 8 to 10 hours. With me, you might not get a response for a few days. I fly around the world a lot, and city to city, and so I'm quite slow sometimes to respond. But we have staff all the time answering questions at support@autochartist.com. But more than happy to take your emails from you. Thank you very much, everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day.